Well, hello, everybody.
Hey guys, it's Kayla.
And I'm Mark Alan.
And this is Simply Ever After. And today we're talking about Disney World. So, we just got back from a recent trip to Disney. I think we've been back maybe like a week and a half now.
Yeah, I already want to go back.
Yeah, and so many things have happened. So if you didn't know from the title or from my mini posts that we've been doing, Disney has changed their mask policy within the past several weeks and may potentially be changing it a little bit more in the future, but we'll talk about that later. But we just kind of wanted to give you our experience. Mark Allen's doing all kinds of funky things with the screen. Right. But we just wanted to give you guys our experience and tips so that if you have a trip coming up, you kind of know what to expect. Or if you're thinking of planning a trip, you maybe have some ideas of what to expect. So if, as we're talking, you guys have questions, please pop those in the chat because we do want to try and answer as many of your guys' questions as we can. We do have a few other topics that people did send me some questions about that we want to talk about as well. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Bear with us. Allergy season is
horrible, do you guys see like my eye, like how swollen it is?
Poor Mark Allen. He comes home. He has tears streaming down his face because his allergies are just awful. So
yeah, hence the glasses.
We got a roll of toilet paper here ready to go. So yeah, if you see us sniffling or crying, not me. I'm fine. I just got an itchy nose. He's not doing great.
I'm dying.
You're not dying.
I feel like I'm dying.
All right. So what do we want to talk about first? Okay. I guess overall, if you do not know, Disney's current policy with the face masks is that they've now lessened the amount of time that you have to wear it. I don't really know how to say that, but
they've lifted some restrictions.
There you go. Thank you. Words. But basically the big one is you no longer have to wear them outdoors. It is optional. Now there are some caveats with this, of course. You do still have to wear them in line for attractions and while you are going while you're on an attraction. But if you're just outside, like walking down Main Street or at the pool at your resort or whatever, you no longer have to wear a face mask if you feel comfortable. Of course, all indoor locations, you are still required to do it. On transportation, you are still required to wear them. And we're going to kind of just deep dive into a little bit of this because I know for us, this was announced less than a week before we left. And so we had tons of questions of what is this going to be like? And I don't know, what about this and what about that? And so we hope to answer some of those questions.
And we did run into some inconsistencies too while we were there.
Yes. So I guess the first one, and you can jump in too whenever. Sorry, I have something in my eye. The first one is rides. So that was probably the easiest one, pretty straightforward. Any ride, whether it is an outdoor roller coaster, a indoor boat ride, any type of ride, you were required to wear a face mask the whole time. Yeah. And of course, wearing it properly. Disney's pretty strict about that. When you are required to wear them, they are pretty strict about you wearing it properly. So over your nose and mouth. And they do have cast members that are there to kindly remind you that your face mask is to be on. I know sometimes, especially now when you're taking it on and off and on and off, you can just totally forget.
Yeah, that happened a couple times where we ran into a shop or we're in line for an attraction. So with attraction lines, most of the extended queues, of course, are outside, not even in the actual queue.
You're literally crying.
I know. I'm dying. It's fine.
He has just a tear. It's just coming down his face.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Okay, continue what you were saying.
So anyway, the extended queues, of course, are not in the actual queue.
They're a mile long past the entrance.
For example, for
actual queue.
Like for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, like the line wrapped all the way around, like all the way back to like
that fence that goes like all the way around the ride. Like it was all the way back almost to like where the aerial ride was. Like it was all the way back there.
Yeah.
And that's the case with a lot of rides right now.
So obviously that's not like the official queue. So we found a lot of times in Flight of Passage was the same way, where you did not have to wear your mask in that line, if that makes sense.
Right.
But once you got like into the actual queue, basically where like the normal like standard posted wait time,
like where the sign that says like the name of the ride, and,
or like the fast pass scanner,
fast pass, whatever. Basically, once you go past that arch, that is when you have to put your face mask on.
Yeah. So moral of the story is, when you're standing in that like outside line for 30 minutes, it got very easy to be like, oh shoot, put on my mask. And so,
but cast members are pretty kind about it. I mean, they're there to, hey, past this point, you need to make sure your face mask is on, because it's easy to forget when you're just standing in line and you pass that point. Now, granted, I will say they have the lines on the ground that are like the social distancing markers, and they had those back when we were there in October last year. And I would say last year people did a really good job of like staying on your marker and really like spacing out between parties. People were not the greatest at that this time. I mean, they weren't like, everyone wasn't like cramming together. There was still space, but you could definitely tell people were a lot more lax with that. So if you are someone that you're not totally comfortable being like that close to people, you totally can wear your mask. And honestly, it seemed like people were pretty respectful of people that did choose to wear their mask.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see, I don't know, people giving weird looks to people that were wearing masks or whatever. So I would say if you are unsure about that part, like don't feel like you're going to be a weirdo if you're wearing a mask, because a lot of people were still wearing them.
Yeah.
Because we understand that, there's some of those spaces that are starting to get a little more crowded and that can be a lot.
Yeah.
When we haven't been doing a lot of that over the past year and a half. So, but yeah, I guess the biggest thing is, basically if you're in that extended line, you can, but you don't have to. But once you do pass the entrance, then they do require that you wear them. That was the one that I think I had the biggest question about, because I remembered how crazy long those lines are. And I'm like, we standing straight out in the sun for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and I just got to wear it. Like, I mean, I guess, but like, are they really going to make people do that? Because then how are they enforcing that with people that are walking just right next to you? And so I thought that was a little weird. But it made a lot more sense when we were there. So I was like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
I would say the other inconsistency that we noticed was the Skyliner.
Yes. This was one that I still am not 100% sure about, as far as like what we're technically supposed to be doing. But based on what we observed, most people were not wearing them. Whether
not even in line.
Yeah, not in line. Now, obviously, right there, they've just started putting more than one party in a gondola. But when we were there, they were still only doing one party to a gondola. So, like when you're on it, who cares? You're with your family, and there's no one around you. So, yes, you can totally not wear one. That might be a little bit different now, since they are starting to put multiple parties in one thing. So that part I can't totally tell you for sure yes or no on. But I do think the line was a little confusing, because they didn't, I maybe saw one cast member one time say something.
Yeah, I think I only on,
but the rest of the time, like even when we went and it was stupid long lines, like nobody was saying anything and most people weren't wearing them.
Yeah.
So that's one that I think it's just more of like, do what feels comfortable. But don't be a butthole if a cast member asks you to put it on, because technically they do have the final say, and it's not that they're trying to be mean or whatever. They're following rules so that they don't get in trouble. So if they do ask you to put it on, just go ahead and put it on. That way, we're not getting in trouble because we don't want to get in trouble while we're at
Okay, I just realized for whatever reason our little has not really been working. So
if you're watching, pop something in the chat so that we know you're here and that it's working.
Jen and Joe are here, or at least one of them. So hi guys.
And I know more people are watching because there's more than one person on the little thing. So let us know you guys are here. And I do know this is delayed a little bit too. So
yeah, when we did a test, it was like 30 seconds to a minute delayed for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on, but
I think it's faster now because I did this and then
we
have it pulled up on his phone too.
Bam.
But yeah, so I would say those were probably some of the most inconsistent or kind of confusing parts that I really had big questions on. Now, speaking of transportation, if you are on a bus or a monorail, obviously you do have to wear your mask because you're in close quarters with a lot of people and more like an indoor type situation. The one that did kind of surprise me a little bit was the boats, just because it's all outdoor and lots of wind blowing and things. But I guess it makes sense because you are still really close to people. So just as a heads up, you do have to wear your mask if you take one of the boats for transportation. At
the end of the day, Disney, like when they said they're like lifting some of the mandates for outdoors, I think they made a blanket statement and said transportation.
Yeah.
So honestly, I feel like on the Skyliner, because it's still transportation.
I think you're technically
supposed to, even though nobody did when we were there.
Yeah.
At least they weren't enforcing that when we were there. It may be different now.
And again, we went literally, it was only like a week after they had announced the new policies.
Yeah.
And so I know like we noticed that there was still like old signage out in several places. And so they're still like, they were still transitioning everything over. And so like there would be places where we were outdoors, like not anywhere in there. It was like, must have a mask. Like, right. I remember because we were right out in front of the castle. And there was a sign there that said like you had to have your mask on while taking pictures. And I was like, that's an old sign. So I think it's just kind of knowing beforehand what the technical policies are. So that way you feel a little sure, but cast members are always there to kind of remind you in those places that you for sure have to have one on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. And then, yeah, obviously like if you're indoors anywhere, that one's the easy one. Cause like, it's very obvious you're walking indoors when you're going in a shop or on an indoor ride or, if you're walking around inside of a resort, that's also one to kind of think about. Or restaurants, like if you're walking into your restaurant, obviously when you sit down at your table, you can take it back off. But those are all just places to kind of be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like how it affected our trip, oh man, it was like night and day difference from our October trip. Because back in October, like you could never take it off ever. Like you could take it off if you're stationary and eating and drinking or in your hotel room. And that was like it. And so that was definitely.
Well, and like, I remember like, because we were there for Food and Wine last year and you had to keep it on. Like you couldn't walk around and eat and drink, things like that. Right. And so that was a huge difference this trip. Mm-hmm. Being there for Flower and Garden, like it was really nice just to be able to eat and drink and just walk around. Because it was
almost like in October we were getting food and drinks so that we could take our mask off, like so that we could, because it was just hot and not great. And the masks that we had were okay, they weren't the best, but like I noticed like a lot of the food and stuff that we got was so that we could take our masks off.
Yeah.
Whereas this time it was more like we were just being able to get food and drinks because we wanted it. And we actually somehow we spent a lot less money than what I think we thought we were going to. So it was definitely a lot better in that aspect.
Yeah.
Also, what was funny is that I think it was actually hotter this trip.
It was.
But because we were able to take our masks off outdoors, it did not feel as miserable. as it did in October. Like, I know our very first day this trip was Animal Kingdom, which is typically one of the hotter parks just because of all the foliage. It has a lot more humidity. It holds a lot of that in.
Yeah.
We like couldn't even make it the like most of the day last in October, because it was just like I couldn't keep my mask dry, and I was like having a hard time breathing because of that. And it was honestly like hotter this time than it was that day, but for some reason, I mean, not for some reason, it was because you could take your mask off outside.
Yeah. Well,
it was a lot less miserable, and we were actually able to stay the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I could just not imagine like standing in line for Slinky Dog Dash or Flight of Passage when it's that hot and like have to wear a mask.
I mean, like, we could do it.
Yeah, and we did. We did
do it.
We did do it, but
it's just not fun.
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
And obviously, you just have to do what you feel comfortable with, because everyone's going to be different, and everybody has different feelings, and everybody's at a different place. And whether or not they're vaccinated or partially vaccinated or not at all vaccinated, or they're healthy or not healthy, everyone's got their own thing. And so you just really have to kind of know what you feel comfortable with. We are young and healthy and vaccinated, and so we're fine. Like we're doing our part, and we're going to be okay. But I totally understand, like, there are families out there with young kids who aren't able to get vaccinated yet, who may not feel as comfortable. So these are just kind of what their guidelines are. This is just kind of what our experience was. But again, you do you.
Yep. Hi, Distastic family. How are you guys tonight? And then Jen said, we did it last July and it was brutal.
Yeah, I am very glad. I'm not going to lie. When it was so funny. So basically the CDC had announced like that, like vaccinated people didn't need to wear masks anymore or whatever it was. And we were like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And so like at work, we were all talking about, okay, do we wear masks? Do we not? Whatever. And so we were going through that. And then Universal made a tweet that said that they were lifting their mask restrictions. And we saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, because we were going to Universal for a day. So I was like, well, that's going to be awesome. Like, that's going to make that day a lot more enjoyable. And I was like, come on, Disney. I was like, I feel like Disney's going to have to do it now, because if Universal's going to do it, like, people are going to be mad if Disney doesn't do it. So we were just like waiting. Yeah. And then when Disney like announced it, I'm not going to lie, I like just sat on the floor and cried a little bit because I was so excited. Well, because our trip just got like a whole lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because we knew it was going to be hot. And
brutal. Yeah. And I think one thing too is like not even the fact of like not having to wear a mask as often, but like it's also just a huge like
step forward.
It's a huge step forward that like, okay, like we are finally coming to an end on this, hopefully.
Yeah.
Obviously countries
slowly
around the world are, still recovering a lot. And, so I think at the end of the day, like it's just, we're going back to normal or at least some sort of normal.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I wanted to mention is that all of this could change like over like as we're doing this live, like who knows? Because Universal last week,
I think it was like a day or two after we came back home.
Yeah. So Universal, like masks are completely optional everywhere. Now, Disney has not done that yet. You still have to obviously wear your mask indoors. So I was honestly a little bit surprised that Disney did not follow Universal.
That aspect, I'm not. I don't know that I am,
surprised. But I'm not, because they are like their biggest competitor in terms of Orlando. But I don't know.
I feel like they've lifted it enough that I don't think it's going to deter people one way or the other. But I think like Universal doing any mask lifting, and then like if Disney hadn't lifted it at all, that I do think would deter people.
Yeah.
Because summer is coming, and I think if they're thinking, oh, it's really hot and it's not going to be fun to wear that outside, they're going to want to go opt for the one and spend their money at the one that they don't have to.
So one thing that I've kind of been watching is Orange County, Florida. So literally, and that's what caused Universal and Disney to change their mask mandates.
Mm-hmm.
So Orange County, Florida, they hit phase 2, which I think was 50% of the county reaching like at least one vaccine. So to kind of put that into perspective a little bit. But so once they hit phase 2, masks were not required outdoors. So right after the Orange County mayor, I forget his name anyway, right after they hit phase 2, that's when Universal announced no masks outside, and the Disney follows suit right after. However, they have not reached phase 3 yet, which is masks are like completely optional. However, they are expected to reach phase 3, which I'm not sure what like are the requirements for that. They're supposed to reach it like either today or tomorrow. So things again could change.
So they could be changing.
They could be, yeah. I mean, this could be changing all tomorrow for all we know.
Which, dang, if they lift it all, man, Jen, you guys are gonna have an awesome trip.
Yeah.
Especially, because we looked out. It didn't hit 90 until like our last full day. But
honestly,
great.
though, like being able to just only wear them outside was really, really nice.
Yeah, no, it was just so much more enjoyable, and it felt a lot more like Disney, I think, just because I don't know, I wasn't sitting there thinking about it's hot, it's humid, I have this piece of fabric on my face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just felt different.
It was just a lot more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. And I like honestly, like personally, I hate taking face mask pictures. I hate taking pictures with face masks on because I don't know, for whatever, I think it's dumb. Like, that's just me. Like, I mean, I will, and it's fine, but I don't know. It was really nice to actually just be able to smile in a picture and actually be my face, especially since my brother was there. Like, who knows when the next time that's going to happen again.
Yeah. And
so to actually be able to have good pictures with our faces showing, like, that meant a lot. And I know, like, for people, if there's their once in a lifetime Disney trip, like, man, that would just, to me, first of all, I don't think you should be going to Disney World if this is your first and one and only time right now. But that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. But like, all of your pictures in face masks for forever, and like those will be your only Disney pictures ever. Like, I don't know, that's just disappointing to me. And so I think I was already pumped when they announced that you could take your mask off for pictures, like, but when they did more, I was just like, oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jen, glad we're not the only one. I mean, we have pictures to
we have them.
Yeah,
I like them. They're just, I don't know, like, I don't know, they're just not timeless pictures. Like, they're ones that are going to be great for this period of time, but in 5 years, like, if I want to post I don't know, like, okay, I'm talking like Instagrammer here, but like, if I want to post a picture, like, I'm not going to post one of those mask pictures in a year or two.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, like, whereas like our pictures from 2017, like, I can use those pictures for forever because I don't know, they're more. That's my rant. That's my TED Talk about that. I'll quit talking about that. But that's just how I felt about that.
I just feel really bad for people that, like, this is their one and only trip and they're going right now. Like, even right now. I don't
know that I feel bad. I mean, they are going.
Well, obviously they're making that.
They're making a conscious decision going, knowing that not everything's available. But I think it's one of those, like, if someone were to ask me, I would say, no, you should wait and at least until fireworks come back, because by then, hopefully most of the shows and things will be coming back, and they'll, I don't know, get a little more bang for the buck or more out of their experience, just because those are a really big part of the Disney experience. Which, speaking of which, another thing that I've kind of been noticing is, I don't know, people have been getting really annoyed that some of the shows and things haven't been coming back. And we were talking about this in the car the other day, and I was like, like, they are coming back. And at this point, it's not so much a like COVID thing, like whatever. It's just it's a staffing thing. 'Cause me and my theater background, it takes a long time to put a show together. And a lot of those performers have probably moved on to other jobs because it's been a year and a half. And so it's going to take Disney a long time to be able to fully cast all those shows, because you also have to think too, like they don't have just one cast for each of those shows. They probably have several casts that rotate. And so it takes a long time to put those back together. They're going to have to do rehearsals. They're going to have to learn all the stuff and then like make sure that all of their technical aspects of those shows are still working properly before they can actually bring those back, which I think because of that, I think Fantasmic will be one of the last nighttime shows to come back, because that show is so like,
it's so invasive,
performer heavy. And there's a lot of like almost like stunt work kind of. It's not, I mean, it's kind of stunt, kind of not, but there's a lot of that aspect to it that's just going to take a long time. So I think that's why like we just got Lion King back. I think they could have had it a long time ago. I think it's just that it's taken that long to actually train everybody.
And if you think about it too, like that's a huge reason why probably a lot of the resorts are not open yet, because they just don't have the staff to operate them. I mean, if you think about it, they laid off almost 40,000 cast members. Like that's a ton. And obviously like some of them probably like weren't able to find new jobs, but probably a lot of them did. And so obviously, you can call all those people back, but are they going to leave a new job to go back and work for Disney? Like that's a huge question that honestly probably no one really knows the answer to. So
But the good news is I think they are really trying to get people hired. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of people going back to work at Disney. We physically saw a lot of training happening, especially with the bus and transportation. We saw a ton of training buses going through. And so I think that was really encouraging to know that they are trying to get people back. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Which brings up another thing is like with the buses, some of the bus lines were not moving very quickly as what we've seen them in the past. Obviously, because they're not seating as much, like the capacity on the bus is not as high as what it normally is, of course. But like there's actually a shortage of Disney bus drivers right now. Like that's why they're like, if you go anytime soon, you'll probably see some charter buses from a third party.
That's also why they've really been encouraging people to use other forms of transportation like the Skyliner, because they don't take as much like cast members to run as the buses. And so like you cannot take a bus. Like if you're on a Skyliner resort, you cannot take a bus to Epcot or Hollywood. Like they just won't come. And so like it's just, unless the Skyliner's down, but that's just something that was interesting. It was interesting to experience. Luckily we're spending a lot of time at Hollywood Studios and Epcot, and we stayed at Pop Century. So we used the Skyliner a lot this trip.
We did.
So we didn't have to rely too heavily on the bus system. But I will say the one that was like very annoying was both ways was Magical Express.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I don't know if I got any footage of it or not. I can't remember. But the line when we got there, granted, we did get there like pretty early in the morning. It was around 10 a.m., which I feel like is probably a time that a lot of people are flying in. That line was so long. Like I had never, not even in like videos of that people have done, I've never seen that line that long. Like it went all the way down, like way past all where the rental car booths are. Like it was insane. Like we probably would have been standing there for like 2 hours. There was just that many people. And so I was kind of bummed because I don't know when we're coming back and they are discontinuing that service. But we chose to just take an Uber instead. And so instead of taking, because we really wanted to get to the parks and we were like, I'm not going to stand here for 2 hours when we paid for a park ticket and not able to use it. So, so we ended up just taking an Uber, but I was sad about it. But then on the way back, it wasn't even a Magical Express bus.
It wasn't. It was just a charter bus.
I was so sad.
Although it did have super nice seats. But
yeah.
They were playing what movie? They were playing Apollo 13.
And
the volume
so
was
loud.
like so loud.
I literally, there was one part where like, I don't know,
it was like
the
glass
ship
shattering.
was taking off or something. I literally was like holding my ears. I was like, this is so loud. So it was fine. It was free transportation. So at least we didn't have to pay for an Uber twice. But I will say that is something to think about because the future is going to be very different when Magical Express is not a thing anymore.
Here's my thing with Magical Express. I think that Disney has something up their sleeves.
I hope so.
Because there's no way in the world there's that many rental cars for all these people, let alone places for them to park. Like there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have all these people renting cars, like that completely basically eliminates the needs for buses.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure in Disney eyes is like, great. Like we don't have to pay bus drivers.
Mm-hmm.
But like you have to park all those cars somewhere. There's no way physical that many cars can park in a parking lot. Like it's just not possible.
Well, I don't know even that it would necessarily be that more people would get rental cars. I think it's more people would be trying to do Ubers and Lyft, which means those are going to become a lot more expensive because they're going to be high in demand. But
and long waits too.
That's a lot. That's a lot. When you think of how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people fly in every day, that's a lot. And so they have something. I just am hoping that it's not going to be.
Well, and a lot of people are saying that it's the bullet train, but I was like, the bullet train's not coming for another 2-3 years, maybe.
Yeah, I think
and that's only to Disney Springs. So
right.
I don't know.
I think eventually that'll probably be the thing, but I'm just curious to know what they do in the meantime.
I don't know. I feel like Disney has something up their sleeves. They just haven't announced what it is yet.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of which, this actually brings up another topic that I wanted to chat about that has been a hot topic with a lot of people the past couple days, and that is the Boo Bash. People are like fired up about this, y'all, which I just think is hilarious, but whatever. So the Boo Bash is replacing Mickey's Not So Scary this year. As far as what they're doing in the future, I don't really know. But basically what they have announced so far is that they are like an after hours event. In fact, it is an after hours event. Yeah. It's like an after hours plus like a couple extra things. So it is a little bit shorter, but honestly, it said that a lot of the parties run till midnight. So I really don't think it's that much shorter.
Yeah.
Because I think the latest that I've ever seen, maybe the Halloween parties go is maybe 1. And so that was the first thing, is a lot of people are complaining about how it's a lot shorter. And I'm like, is it though? Because it goes till midnight.
Well, okay. So I think I understand what they're saying is because in a Halloween party night,
mm-hmm.
your admission would let you go in at like 3 or 4 o'clock or something, right?
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
So I don't think the after hours technically, it doesn't even start until 7.
I think they let people in at 7.
So it technically is
I guess
less
that makes
time.
Sense. I feel like for me, I guess, yeah.
But here's my thing. They are marketing it as an after hours event, not a party.
Yes. And so a lot of the things that they're doing, so they'll have like the free popcorn and ice cream and like that kind included. It's not free. Included that stuff. They are still going to have like some specialty Halloween treats that you can purchase. They are going to have characters. I will say they very intentionally did not specify whether these are actual meet and greets or if they are socially distanced meet and greets. They did not say anything. They just said characters would be there. So that's another thing to think about is I don't think that they have fully announced everything that will be available at this event yet because they can't. There are going to be some things like, obviously, they're not going to be like, there's going to be fireworks because they're not doing fireworks right now. They don't want a bunch of people just trying to book for that because there's going to be fireworks.
Yeah.
They're not going to announce if there will be fireworks until their normal fireworks shows come back. If their normal fireworks shows come back, then yeah, it would not surprise me if there's going to be a Halloween fireworks show.
Yeah.
And honestly, like they're doing cavalcades instead of a parade, which I know the parade is super popular, but honestly, I would much rather have all these short cavalcades done throughout the night because there's at least 4 or 5 different cavalcades that'll be going, and you know that they're going to be going multiple times throughout the throughout the night. And so
honestly, this may be an unpopular opinion. I love the cavalcades.
Oh yeah.
Like I love them obviously I miss the parades, don't get me wrong.
I do miss the parades, but
I really miss them. However,
I want them to do the cavalcades.
I love the cavalcades because
they're way
you
more
can
magical.
find a spot anywhere, like as the float is making its way down Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so easy. Like, oh, look, a float. The princess is. Yep. Oh, look great. And you have a great spot right then and there. Yep. You don't have to go out and wait for an hour and a half to almost 2 hours for a good spot.
Yes. Yeah. And so honestly, I think, because that was something when we did the Halloween party in 2019, we were trying to leave early because we were tired and we had done everything we wanted to do, but it took us like an hour to get out of the park because the second parade was going on and the crowds were just so thick and you couldn't cross pathways. And so we had to basically wait for the parade to go before we could get out. And even then it was still just like shoulder to shoulder crammed trying to get out. And so I think that's one thing that is going to be nice about those cavalcades is they're here and then they're done.
Yeah.
And then people go on about their merry way doing their thing. So
obviously there's pros and cons.
Yeah. And of course, like they're still going to have all the rides and all of that good stuff. So I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. If anybody has done an after hours event, I love the after hours event. I will pay whatever I need to pay to do an after hours event because they're totally worth it in my opinion. They're just, you can get so much done and it's a lot more relaxing because there really are not as many people. It feels empty. Yeah.
Although I am curious though to see what capacities are going to look like at this time.
So that's another interesting thing, that this was the thing that was really a hot topic. Almost any post I saw about Boo Bash, this is what people were commenting on, and everyone was being very, very harsh about it. So pricing for August and September is going to be like from $129 to $149. And then in the month of October, it's $159 to $169. And then Halloween night is $199. Yes, this is expensive. It is more expensive than what it has been in years past. But what people have to understand is they don't want everybody to come to the after hours. They don't want everyone to come to it. That's why they priced it that high, because they are trying to make that experience more worth it for the people who are willing to spend that money. And if they made it $80, everyone would do it. It would be overly crowded, and then it wouldn't be.
It would sell out.
Yeah, it would sell out super fast, and it would be not. It wouldn't feel like an exclusive ticketed event. And I think that's been a really big issue with the Halloween parties and the Christmas parties in the past. Is although those are great and they're so fun, but those things are so packed.
Yeah,
that was the thing that I think didn't make it worth it for me, is because it still felt super crowded. It just felt like a normal park day. They just did a special parade. Yeah. Or had candy, whatever.
I am so jealous, Jen, that you got to do the Villains After Hours.
I think we were going to.
We had honestly thought about it.
I think we had planned on doing it, but obviously our trip got canceled. So.
But yeah, Jen, I think you're right. People are still going to pay that $200 price tag.
So this is another interesting thing.
You did it twice? Oh, jealous.
Rude. So this is something interesting too, that there's a YouTuber called Mickey Views, who he does like a lot of Disney news and kind of like breaking updates, and
he's a great channel.
It's a really great one. If you guys should check him out if you haven't seen him. But he was talking about how because of COVID, and honestly, this is the other thing, is people can't get mad because they're the ones that did this. Because of COVID, Disney was worried about making their money back.
Yeah, and getting people to come back.
But what they have found is that people are totally willing to jump through any hoop that they need to go on these trips.
Yep.
Whether it be pay more money or do things that are more inconvenient or whatever, it doesn't matter. People are totally still willing to do that. And so in Disney's mind, they are trying to focus on how they can get their profits, their profit per visitor up, so that they can have fewer people in the parks but make more money off of those fewer people, so that they're still able to hit their lines, which is a great thing and a not great thing. From a business standpoint, it totally makes sense. As a attendee or someone who frequents the parks, it does kind of suck, because that does mean that trips are going to become a lot more expensive and not as convenient as they have been in the past. But I just think that unfortunately, a lot of those things are going to be a thing of the past and are not going to come back. I don't know that Disney ever will go back to full capacity, at least not for a very long time, just because they know now that they can charge more for tickets, for extra events, for dining, for all of these things, with less people, but still make the same amount, if not more money.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like pre-COVID, it was Disney would do things for the guests. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're still doing that to some extent.
They were jumping through hoops.
Disney was jumping through hoops to get guests to come. They were spending more things on marketing just to try to get as many people there as possible. Mm-hmm. It's complete opposite now. It's done a complete 180 where guests are flooding to Disney right now.
But how can we get the most money out?
But how can we can we press all that money out? But if you think about it, Disney is trying to really obviously still restrict some of that just due to guidelines and things like that. But they also don't want people flooding in and overwhelming their staff.
Yes. But I think too, it's also going to elevate the consumer experience, especially with things like the Boo Bash, because it is this higher price point. I guarantee you that their capacity for this event is not as much as it was for a Halloween party.
I agree.
A, because of COVID, but B, because they want those tickets to actually be worth it for the people going. And so, which means it's going to be awesome. Like that's the thing, is that I think people are so mad about the price. But the thing is that if you are willing to pay that money, it is going to be an awesome event, because there's not going to be as many people. I really, it wouldn't make sense to me that they would have that high of a price jump for such a different type of event if it wasn't going to be that. Because again, I still don't think that they're done announcing all the things that are going to happen at the party.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I felt about it. And honestly, too, people were losing their minds. Guys, this is only like $50 difference. Like, it's not, people are like, it's double the price, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's not actually. It's like $50 more, which I understand if you're a family of like 4 or 6 or whatever. Yes, that is a couple $100 more, but it's really not like that much more.
Jen said, we are bummed that there are no dates when we were there for the 50th. Are you guys going to be there on the 1st? Distastic family, if you guys are still on, sorry, I missed your comment earlier. You guys are going in October. Are you going for the 50th too? So fun fact, Kayla did have a pass for October 1st for Magic Kingdom.
But then they made me delete it because my annual pass technically expires on the 25th of September. I was like, that's dumb. They're like, you don't have a valid ticket. You can't have this park pass. And I'm like, I mean, I know I'm not going, but if I was able to go, I would like to keep this. But yeah, it made me delete it. So
wait, Jen, did you say that? So you're going to be in Magic Kingdom on the 1st, but there's no Halloween dates? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Well? Okay, so the Halloween parties are only, I think, Tuesdays and Fridays. I think is what it was. It's something like
weird.
that. And then I think there's like more dates in October. It's something like that. I don't remember exactly, but
man, we are going to live vicariously through you guys going on the 1st.
Yeah. Yeah, we would love to be able to go. I think we're going to try, maybe. We don't really know. We're going to try to go at some point during the 50th. My hope is maybe sometime during Festival of the Arts time period, because I really want to go to that festival because we've never been. But because I no longer have a day job, this is my new day job.
Yep.
Just FYI.
And Etsy.
And so unless this stuff kind of like pops off for us, we aren't really going to have a ton of money to save up for a Disney trip anytime soon.
Although your Etsy has really been blowing up.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So hopefully
you will not be there for the 1st. Okay.
Dang, that would be so cool.
But you'll still be there during the 50th, which is still awesome.
I'm curious to see if they're going to do any more stuff to the castle or.
Well, I think the only thing they have left to do the castle is just put the 50th emblem thing over.
Yeah.
The clock.
Yeah. That'll be.
I think that's it. Other than that, I think it's done.
Yeah. So.
Which it looks amazing.
Hopefully, we'll get to go.
It looks so good.
I would love to go, but we'll just see. We're also trying to save up for a van right now, so that's a lot of money.
Yep.
So we'll see what the future holds.
Jen said, "Your ears are amazing, and I do still plan on ordering a pair."
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
I have some new ideas that I'm hoping to get ready in the next couple weeks, so keep your eyes peeled on those. But yeah, that was kind of just our whole experience on our trip. It was really okay. I'll finish my sentence and then you can say. I will say it was a really different trip this time because my brother was with us, and that was kind of interesting to because he's more about the rides, and so he was a lot more like go go go, whereas we're a little bit more chill and slow with things. And so it was kind of interesting with that kind of mix, but it was a lot of fun to be able to show him around the parks because we've wanted to take family or friends or somebody for so long. So that was so fun to have him there. And then we also did get to meet up with some friends too, which was I love meeting up with people.
Yeah,
I don't know, it's just really
we saw Bob and Kelly. We got to ride the People Mover with them, which it was our first time in a year and a half, over a year and a half. Yeah. And then we saw Lauren from Lauren's Travels.
Yes.
And
she had a friend named Ken.
Yep.
And I don't remember what he said his channel was, but
KM Creations, I believe.
You guys will find that out whenever that video gets posted.
Yes. Honestly, we love meeting people. It's so fun getting to know people and do a ride or get a drink or something in the parks. It's one of our favorite things, getting to meet people who love Disney as much as we do, because obviously people think we're idiots when we talk to them here at home.
People think we're idiots?
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Some people do. Like when I tell some of my coworkers that we're going to Disney again, they're like, oh, cool. Oh. Like they kind of look at it like, you're going again?
I don't feel like I guess.
Do you guys get that?
I guess I get that people are like, oh, you're going again, but I don't know that I would say people.
Okay, yeah, Jen said it too. Yep, point exactly. Speaking of crazy things, Fast Pass. What are your guys' takes?
I hate Fast Pass. I don't want ever to return. That's how I feel.
Here's my thing. I think
my theory was right all along way before we lost FastPass, and that lines move 1,000 times faster without FastPass. And then we got lost FastPasses, and that lines move 1,000 times faster than they did before. And I hope FastPasses never return. And if they do, I hope that it's just done in a way that lets the lines stay really quick. Because
Jen agrees with you. Dumb. So Jen, I 100% agree with you. I think it's going to come back and Disney's going to charge for it.
Yeah.
Here's my thing though. I don't think that it's going to be like a max pass like they have at Disneyland. The reason for that is because what is max pass? Isn't it like 15 or like it's stupid really cheap. Here's my thing. I honestly think that they are going to do something like what Universal is doing.
Which, I'm not gonna lie, that was like a whole thing because we were like, oh yeah, we'll get that. It is advertised as it's only like $69. And then we called and they're like, it's $250 per person plus your park ticket. And I was like, no.
It's so expensive.
Not doing that.
It's so expensive. Although the nice thing is that like if this is your one and only chance to get to go to Disney, like this might be worth it for you because you don't have to
ride everything.
Yeah, you don't have to wait in line for like a single ride other than like maybe like Rise of the Resistance, Ratatouille, Tron, like those big brand new rides.
And again, because Disney's trying to squeeze as much money out of as few people as possible, not many people are going to want to spend that price tag. Which means that it is actually going to be very worth the price and hopefully will not make the standby line be horrible either.
So here's my thing. If they do decide to charge for FastPass.
Will I ever buy it? No.
Okay, you keep interrupting
I'm
me.
sorry.
So here's my thing with if they are going to charge for it, I don't think it's going to be a max pass situation.
No.
I think it's going to be a express pass like what Universal is doing where it's $200 a person. Because here's the thing. If Kayla and I bought whatever this new fast pass, and this is just all hypothetical, obviously Disney has not said anything about this, but if they charge for this, they have to price people out. They have to. Because if it's $15,
everyone will do it.
Everyone's going to have it. Or even if it's $50, everyone will have it.
And it's going to be the same problem
which means
normal fast pass.
But if you have, 2/3 of the population at the park on any given day with this express pass where they can skip a line on any ride, then it's not really worth it if you think about it, because it's just it basically splits the standby line and puts half of it in the fast pass line.
Still have to wait in line.
And so you still have to wait in line. So as someone paying $50 to $100 for this, it's not worth it. Like what's the point? And so that's why I honestly think it's going to be super expensive if they do charge for it. Maybe they won't. They'll surprise us all.
Maybe normal fast pass will come
Who knows? Cool, whatever. But I think if they're going to charge really a lot for something because they have to price people out, and the people paying and justifying that cost, they have to make it worth it for them. There has to be something. They have to have some skin in the game, if that makes sense.
Jen, I agree. I think it will feel a lot like a VIP tour situation. I think it will be more like that. It'll feel more exclusive. Now, granted, obviously, a lot of people are still going to get these things because it doesn't matter how much things cost. People are willing to just throw the monies away when it comes to Disney. But
if I'm paying $200,
I just don't think it's going to be as crazy.
If I'm paying $200, it better come with a plaid vest.
No.
I will make one. Okay. You will make one for me.
No, I will not.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my take on it because, and Braden actually just did a video on this and I'm like, yes, yep, 100%. And honestly, this was my take on it even before Braden made that video. And honestly, his video was just like the nail in the coffin for me. I'm like, yep, I don't know.
Disney is going to be very different over the next few years. And we don't mean all of this to sound really negative. Because honestly, we had a great time.
We did.
We really had a great time. things are just still different, and Disney's changing. The culture of Disney is changing. It's not going to be the same.
It's not.
And the thing is that people are very defensive about the way things were, that they haven't come to terms to accept that things are going to be different. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different.
So here's my thing. I think at the end of the day, like the Disney lovers out there, Jen and Joe, I know that you guys love Disney. We love Disney. Distastic family. I know you guys love Disney. A lot of people watching our channel love Disney. I just hope that you guys all, and us too, I'm speaking to me at this point, like just have an open mind, because it's all still under the Disney name. It's under the Disney standards. Because they're not going to screw people over.
Here's the thing. It don't matter what Disney does.
People are still going to go.
People are still going to go. They're still going to pay money. They're going to jump through hoops. It doesn't matter what Disney does. Disney can honestly do anything that they want. And people are still going to want to go to Disney because it's Disney. And that's just the thing. And so I think people can complain all day long, but what they have to realize is that they are the ones that are allowing Disney to do these things. And so it's kind of one of those, like, you can't get mad at Disney. They're a business. I mean, sure, do they care about their customer? Yeah, but when it comes down to it, they're a business. They're gonna care about their bottom lines.
Yeah.
And
their shareholders.
Yeah. And so I think people can sometimes forget that, and they feel a lot more entitled to things.
Maybe we'll just all get lucky and Disney will make like Disney lovers very mad and they just won't go, which means more space for all of the rest of us that still want to go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe we'll just get lucky. Probably not. We can get our hopes up, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
But that's the thing about Disney parks, is that they're meant to change. They're meant to be different. They're not meant to be the same for forever. Like that was Walt's vision. Yeah. Is that the parks would always be changing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that was pretty much everything. We
got on our soapbox.
Yeah, that was kind of our thoughts and feelings of things, I would say, just overall with how things are changing. But then we, of course, have a ton of vlogs. They may be a little different than what we've normally done because we were with my brother, but we do have those that'll be coming out. I do still have some Arizona trip videos too that will be sprinkling throughout. But we also have a lot of like tips and tricks videos that will be coming out as well. We have learned a lot, and so we have a lot of stuff. So be excited. We are doing more Disney content, which I know a lot of people are a lot excited about. So
Anthony said it is still fun. I'm going with Make-A-Wish.
That's awesome.
That is so awesome. Anthony,
I hope you have a great time.
Yeah, for real. Have an awesome time. This was a lot of fun.
Yep.
We haven't done a live stream in so long.
It's been a really long time. So hopefully we'll get to do more of these, but we hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like this video, because that does actually help us out quite a bit. And if you feel like, if you know somebody who is going to Disney soon and would find this information helpful, share this video with them, because it's going to help them out. And again, it does help us out too. So,
and if you're watching in the replay, let us know down in the comments below, when is your next Disney vacation?
Yep.
Because I'm jealous and I want to live vicariously through you.
Yes. All right. Well, that is all we have for you guys today. Now go create your ever after.
Okay, bye.